this lens will make you the most money. That's what my photography teacher told me back in high school, and still to this day, he is yet to be proven wrong. The 24-70 2.8 is one of the most versatile lenses money can buy. Whether it's for photo or video, this lens is just known and loved by everyone. So today, we'll be testing the brand new 24-70 f2.8 DG DN Mark II from Sigma. We'll also be comparing it to its older counterpart, the old 24-70 f2.8, the Mark I now, and we'll be testing which lens provides the most amount of value. For reference, the Mark II Sigma 24-70 is $591 more than the old version. Now today, unfortunately, I won't be able to test it against the Sony 24-70 Mark II because I couldn't get my hands on one quick enough to film this video. And we also won't be testing the Tamron 24-70 because they don't make one for Sony. Today we're gonna have three main tests we're gonna do. We're gonna shoot wide, mid, and long range on both lenses. We'll also be testing the autofocus difference and the bokeh difference on both lenses. The subject tonight is my WRX, and we'll be shooting in an empty car park at night. Let's start with the build quality. Both lenses feel great to use. They both have a metal build, roughly the same size. The Mark II coming in at 90 grams lighter and 2 millimeters smaller than the old version. So it's not a huge difference for weight and size compared to the old lens, including the filter size as well. You don't have to go buy new NDs or polarizers for the new lens. So they've kept the filter size at 82 mil, which is also very nice. And also, both lenses are weather sealed, which is a huge tick of approval from me, considering the weather conditions I usually like to shoot in. Sigma have been releasing all of their new lenses with this aperture ring. To be honest, is kind of useless for photography unless you want that feeling. I definitely don't. I just leave it on auto and use my camera to control the aperture. However, if you're doing video, this is actually pretty useful. You can unclick the aperture ring so you can make it seamlessly go from 2.8 all the way to 22, which is great because you can expose your shot without any stepping. The autofocus is great, as to be expected on the new lens, because, you know, it's the new lens. If it was worse, that would be a serious problem. Both lenses had no issues. I did notice that the new one is a tiny bit faster when it came to locking onto the subject quickly. Yeah, it's very quick. We're in a dark space up here as well. I know we have the street lamps on and my car is silver, which helps, but there is absolutely no lagging whatsoever. It's not hunting for focus at all. Okay, immediately notice that it's slower. It's not too much slower, but there is a little bit of a delay when it locks on. That hunting from white where it knows what the subject is and then locks on, it goes to green, is definitely a little bit slower on the Mark I. This is where we're gonna see the biggest difference. First test, keep it on a timer so we know we're getting maximum sharpness. So now we're going to try the same shot, just at f4. And again at f8. Oh, this is such an awkward angle to put a lens on. New 24-70 is on now. You're good? Let's try this again. Exactly the same settings. Gonna lock my focus. On our left here is the old lens, the Mark I, and to the right of the screen is the Mark II. It is quite noticeable, but I wouldn't say that is a huge difference at 24 mil. This is at f2.8. The Mark II is clearly the winner already. Once you start to bump the aperture a little bit, shooting at f4 here for this example, 24 mil is not really that noticeable of a difference. So you can see now here at f8, especially when we look at the back here as well, starting to become very noticeable that the Mark II has improved sharpness a lot. If you've got a Mark I 24-70, you're going to be watching this like, oh shit. Second location, it's a bit more of a mid-range. Wow, it is very sharp. Try an f4. Bit of a lower shutter. I did accidentally on the first test shot both photos and I changed my ISO slightly, so I'm going to stop doing that. F4 is very sharp. Try an f8, slightly underexposed. So here we are at the mid-range. I've tried to shoot roughly 40 mil for each one. They don't have exactly the millimeter length, so we're off by a little bit. But you can see here at f2.8, the Mark II is just absolutely dominating it, to be honest. Especially when you're trying to look at up close details like the writing. And f8, I would say you'd almost get away with that. It's not hugely noticeable, but just with simple details like the shine off the tire, the highlights on the wheels, even when we want to go down and zoom in and look at the details on some graffiti here, and even towards the corner of our images over here, like the shopping trolleys off in the distance, the Mark II is brutally sharper. This last test, if you own the Mark I, you're gonna want to close your eyes for this one. Fuck, man, I'm just draining it every time I do that now. No way. Oh, thank God, man.
Negative and negative?
Oh, hopefully it's enough to jump. Come here, man. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, we're not turning off the car now. So this test, which is the long range, I would say is one of the most important tests when it comes to zoom lenses. With zoom lenses in general, the first 75% of the zoom is usually going to be its sharpest, right? It's the last 20%, 25% of the zoom on the ring. So in this instance, between 50 and 70 mil, that is where we notice the biggest downfall of sharpness. As you've seen in the last two tests for the wide and mid range, although the Mark II is winning by a long shot, this is where it gets a bit ugly for the Mark I lens. We zoom in here at f2.8. It's not out of focus. This is a focus shot. And you can see here how much the lens is actually upgraded. You know, these new lenses come out, it's the new version. It's like, okay, well, how much better can it actually be? It is this much better. Let's have a look now at f4, the difference here, and at f8. The Mark II lens is almost just bullying the Mark I lens at this point. It's not even fair. It's quite impressive to see how much of an upgrade in sharpness and quality there is on the newer lens. So this test now is for the bokeh. It is a little bit subjective. I know some photographers prefer to have a softer bokeh. Others like to have it sharper. So we can notice on the Mark II lens that the bokeh is definitely sharper and rounder, which tells us that the aperture blade rings in the newer lens have also been upgraded. Sigma has spared no expense upgrading probably just about every component there is, which is pretty nice to see. They're not just using old spare parts and putting it in the new one and calling it a day and selling it for 600 bucks more. It is nice to see that there's a pretty big improvement across all facets of the new lens. Now you've got a good understanding of both lenses. Let's talk about the price. Overall, both lenses are great value for money. The Mark II lens is almost $600 more than the older version, which to be honest is quite a big money difference. And this is comparing if you were to buy both lenses brand new. And there's so many of the old 24-70s on the market now, the chance of you picking one up secondhand off Facebook Marketplace or something, or now the new one is out, there'll probably be a lot of stores getting rid of any stock they have left on this one. So you might even see like deals come up. Price difference might actually even be closer to $800 to even $1,000 difference. However, even though there is a big price difference, and even if you would consider getting a Mark I secondhand, making this one even look more expensive, the Mark II is noticeably sharper, as you've seen in today's video. It has the aperturing feature, it's slightly lighter, it's slightly smaller, it has faster autofocus. But if you also like to do video as well, and you're looking to upgrade or get a new 24-70, the Sigma Mark II lens, sort of a no-brainer. I feel like watching this video is sort of a curse if you are looking at one of these lenses or you do have one of these, because now knowing how much sharper the new lens is over this one, man, well, sucks to be you.